working my way through some other stories. But we're about to see Jesus and his disciples making their way home from a long journey. And on their way home, Jesus says something pretty interesting. He says, on the way home, we have to go through Samaria. Now, this intrigues me because Jesus didn't have to do anything. Jesus wasn't on anyone's schedule. Jesus did what he came to do. He wasn't moved by popular opinion. He wasn't moved by what his disciples wanted, and they wanted very different things. But he says, on the way home, we have to go through Samaria, and we're about to see why in a second. But he had to go through Samaria on the way, and eventually he came to the Samaritan village of Sychar, near the field that Jacob gave to his son, Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired from the long walk, sat wearily beside the well at about noontime. Now soon, a Samaritan woman, and we're about to see why Jesus had to travel through Samaria, because the top priority of Jesus is people. The top priority of Jesus wasn't building a building, it wasn't gaining money for his ministry, it wasn't all these things that people think church is about. Jesus' top priority was people. And he's trying to show his disciples this. He's trying to show that no matter what boundaries we put in place, no matter what our prejudices are, no matter what our standards are, I've come for people. And so now as he's alone and he's sent his disciples to the town to get some food, this woman comes up to him and he says, "Please give me a drink." Now he was alone at the time because his disciples had gone into the village to buy some food. Now what I need to say here is the Samaritans and the Jews did not get along. They hated each other. There was violence. There was terrible racism going on. I know that doesn't happen today, but there was prejudices and all sorts of things. And these disciples were also struggling with that too. They're like, Jesus, we don't want to go through Samaria. They were willing to turn I think it was a 4-day journey into 8 days. The things we will do to dodge the real stuff, the things we will do, we would rather take a detour than just kind of get through it. And so he's telling his disciples, no, we got to go here. There's a mission here. There's people that need me. There's people here that are in need of a desperate touch of the divine. And so this Samaritan woman who already feels like the scum of the earth, not only being a Samaritan and going through that racism, but being a woman. She wasn't looked highly upon. People didn't give her the time of day. And for a Jewish man to be talking to her, this really intrigues her. But again, we see why Jesus is here. Jesus has come for the person. Jesus, regardless of our past or our present or our fears for the future, or like I said, the boundaries we put in place, the standards we put, he crosses those and says, no, I am love itself. I am life itself, and I have come for that person. I am here for all of you. And so now Jesus starts this conversation, and it is a fun conversation. It is packed with meaning, packed with significance, but looks quite random, in all honesty. He starts by asking, please give me a drink of water. And what he's intending to do is use this conversation of water and how the body craves water and gets thirsty to speak to something much more significant and something much, much deeper, the soul's thirst. As the body gets thirsty, so does our soul. And as the body longs for water, there is a deeper longing that really only I can fill. And so he's trying to use this to segue into that. So let's have a look at this conversation. And so the woman was surprised, for Jews refused to have anything to do with Samaritans. She said to Jesus, "You are a Jew and I'm a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink?" She's kind of touched. She's kind of open that this man would kind of show her that time. And then Jesus just jumps straight into it in verse 10. He says, "If you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me and I would give you living water." And that's what I want to say today for the non-Christian, the Christian, all of you. If you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask and he would give you living water. There is a lot of talk about God and church and Christianity. You don't have to turn far to see all the things that the project has to say, that a current affair has to say, or that people have to say in general. But it's really important that at some point in our lives, we discover it for ourselves and we ask the questions. All right, I've heard God is dead. I've heard God is irrelevant. I've heard God is this, and this. But what do you say about him? It's not about your grandma's faith, your mum's faith, your dad's faith. At the end of the day, what do you say about God? What is your take on him? We go into the story because she's intrigued. She's like, that sounds really, really good, and I want this living water. But in verse 11, she says this, but sir, you don't have a rope or a bucket, and this well is very, very deep. I don't know how you think of getting this water. She's intrigued, but she doesn't realize he's speaking of something spiritual, something deeper. And so she looks to the physical. Well, you don't have a bucket, you don't have a water, and beside our ancestor Jacob, he built this well. Do you think he's better than him? And all of this stuff. And then Jesus goes, anyone who drinks this water will soon become thirsty again. But those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. It becomes a fresh bubbling spring within them, giving them eternal life. Now he's pointing to himself. He is the well of life, and he offers life-giving water. And so he's saying, look, you can come to this well, you can come to this place to get water, that is absolutely fine. But just like you'll be thirsty again, and just like you have to keep coming here, if you don't learn to run to the well of life itself and drink from life-giving water, there will always be a thirst inside of here that will never be quenched. Ecclesiastes 3:11, I love this scripture, it's so cool. He says, I have written divinity on every single one of your hearts. Meaning that there is something in every human that cries out for the divine. Now, we'll look to it in tarot cards, we'll look to it in Ouija boards, we'll look to it in psychics, we're intrigued by that. We'll look to it in horror films and all sorts of things because it's just so out of this world. And if we're honest, our heart kind of draws to that. Why? Because God has written divinity on our heart. We are not, human beings having a spiritual experience. I believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience. There's a reason you look up at the night sky and you wonder, surely there's more to life than this. There's a reason you get through a busy week and you think, surely it's not just the 9 to 5 and work till I'm whatever, and then surely you get to these times and you think, surely there's more to life than this. And I'm here to say there is. There is something in us that cries out for the divine. There's something in us that cries out. I like to put it, there is a God-shaped void inside of all of us. And until we put God in that rightful place, there will always be this thing that just feels a little bit off. You know those prisms that that toddlers play with, like this big prism, and you put the square in the square and the circle in the, no, just me? Yeah, the triangle in the triangle. We're trying to put all these things, and they're not exactly bad. It's not like I'm talking about the bad things, but we try to put things in here, and it's not quite filling us the way it needs to. And this is the conversation Jesus is having with this woman. And so she's buying into this. She wants this living water. She loves that this man is talking to her in a way that other men haven't talked to her. And she's like, I want what you've got. I want this. Show me how to get that. She says, please, sir, give me this water, then I'll never be thirsty again, and I won't have to come here to get water. What she says here is so profound. She's referring to the physical, but what she says is so beautiful. I'm done coming to this well. I'm done coming here to get water that doesn't satisfy me. I'm done coming to this place that leaves me empty, that leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. I want this living water that you're offering me. And I wonder, maybe you've been to some wells in this world and in this life that have promised a lot of life. I'll be the first to put my hand up and say, I've fallen into that and it's left me empty, it's left me bitter and wanting more. And there's a time in our lives where we say, do we want this well and what it's offering? Or should I take a risk and come to this person, this Jesus, who is the well of life and offers life-giving water? And this is the conversation that Jesus is bringing up. And he's not forcing. He's not cramming his way into this woman's life. They're just having a conversation. And as she gives more access to him, he goes deeper in that conversation. So now he makes a really weird turn in the conversation. She wants this water. She's sort of not clued in that this is Jesus, the Messiah that they've all been waiting for. And she's like, yep, I'm ready. I want this. Now, Jesus takes this random turn, seems random, in this conversation. Looks sharp. It looks harsh. It looks, what the heck? That is crazy. He says, okay. All right, well, I want you to go get your husband. And she goes, what? I don't have a husband. And then he goes, yes, that's right. You don't have a husband. You've got 5. Actually, you've had 5 husbands, and the man you're with now is the 6th man, and you've certainly spoke the truth. Such a weird turn from water, and then living water. And now we're talking about the intimate details of my life. What is going on? When you want something of value, when you want something, you'll make room for it, yes? You'll budget for it. You'll plan how to get it. You'll make room for it. And so Jesus is saying, I've got something very valuable for you, and I see you want this, but let's address what's blocking it. Let's address what is stopping you from accessing me. Now, before I go any further, I am not preaching religion here. I don't agree with religion. Religion is rules, laws. You've got to earn to work for God. You've got to work to be made right. You've got to whip yourself when you get it wrong. And you've got all of this stuff. This is relationship. And he says, let's address this. And if you want me to help you, I'll help you and walk you through it. But he's not saying you've got to clean yourself up. He's not saying you've got to work to get me. He's not saying that. He's just saying if you're willing to acknowledge it and admit it, then I'm willing to come on into your life and walk with you. Because there is nothing we can do to earn God. There is nothing we can do to earn this life-giving water. There is nothing we can do. And that's the beauty about all of us here. We have all fallen short of the glory of God. All of us. And again, this pastor will put his hand up first. We've all fallen short. And we walk into this place, and I get it. It can be hard. We walk into this place, we put on a nice face, we put on the nice clothes, and that's all great. But deep down, maybe there's some things going on. And it's not about cleaning yourself up. It's not about working harder and working more. It's about coming as you are, like this woman, and saying, Jesus, I need you. And Jesus, you know what? Yeah, I want what you've got. I want to experience this. I like to say that we're a church where you don't have to believe to belong. That as you sit there, you can sit and hear the words that Jesus speaks of and come to that conclusion, not on your own, but so we can walk with you. But this woman is walking lightly with Jesus, and then Jesus takes that turn because she can see, yep, I want this, I need it, and he brings up the big stuff. You see, he had to go through Samaria because there was this woman with some area in her life, in the heart and mind. Did you like that wordplay? I felt very clever doing that. Some area in her life that needed a divine touch. And again, you're probably like, preacher, leave me alone. But maybe there's some area inside of us today that we need that divine touch. Where we need him. I know for me, I need it every week. I don't want to do this alone. Being a young dad, a young husband, a young pastor, a young preacher, there's a lot of hats I got to wear. And I'm just like, Lord, I don't want to do this alone. I can't do this alone. I will get it wrong. I will continue to get it wrong. But God, I need you. I need your peace when I feel incredibly anxious. I need your peace and your calm when I fear for my little kids in this beautiful but crazy world. Lord, show me how to be a good husband. Show me how to love my wife properly. Lord, show me how to lead these people. I'm trying to lead myself. I still feel like I'm just faking it. Lord, help me. But I'm 30 now, so I should have it all together, right? Yeah, I know. No. I'm going to be... No, it's only up from here. I'm excited. The conversation goes on, and I'm not going to go through it because it's a very long story, but the woman says, yes, I want this. I've been waiting for this Messiah, and I've been waiting for this Jesus, and here he is speaking to me. She gives her life to Christ, and now this is pretty cool. This is cool. In verse 27, the disciples come back, and remember, they're still dealing with, gosh, we're in Samaria, why are we here? And then they see Jesus speaking to this woman, and they don't want to say anything. They're like, what's going on? What's happening? But verse 28 is, I love it. The woman left her water jar beside the well and ran back to the village. All I can picture is this empty vessel, this empty water jar, discarded by the side of the well. And that was the whole purpose for her coming. That was the whole purpose for her making that big journey to get there. I forgot to say, she's there at noonday. She was supposed to be there in the morning. That's when all the other women would go to get water in the cool of the day before it got hot. But see, this woman didn't want to be on the next episode of Housewives of Samaria. She did not want the drama. People knew who she was. People knew the lifestyle. And I don't want to make her out to be promiscuous, because back in this day, I want to be light with this woman. You got divorced. You know what I mean? She didn't have a say. So I know some preachers kind of build her up and say this and that. No, I don't want to go there. You got divorced. So I feel for this woman. There is, though, a need. Six men. Okay, there's something going on. But I don't want to paint her out to be some promiscuous woman, because we don't know that. But she needed a touch from Jesus. But she's there at noonday. She's trying to skip the drama. She's trying to hide. She doesn't want to be there. And the whole reason for her being there was to get water. But something about encountering Jesus and encountering his power will change the trajectory of your life. Some people think that if I give my life to any faith, if I give my life to Jesus, or if I give my life to this, I'm going to lose myself. I'm going to lose my life. We think we're going to become these sort of spiritual monks living in a cave, living this monastic lifestyle. That's not what this is. You find your true self and you find your true life, and something about it just feels, wow, this is what I was made for. And so when I see this woman leaving that water jar beside the well, her purpose has changed. The plans have shifted. She's found something better. But not only that, this empty vessel that lays beside the well used to represent her. Because in this interaction, there was a vessel that was filled. It was her, filled with living water. And this picture of this empty vessel used to represent another empty vessel that was discarded, her. Something about Jesus satisfies my soul and fulfills me in a way I never thought was possible. Again, with all the pictures and the types and shadows, you've got Jesus, this well of life with living water, sitting beside a man-made well with also some water, like a choice. Which one do you want? You can have this, I'll let you have it, but which one do you want? Which one that even right now as I preach in your heart, which one do you want? For me, I've had a drink from that well. And every so often, sometimes I'll get a little bit confused and run back to those wells. But I thank God that I came to him and had a drink from him. Because as that song was up there, I don't want to turn back. And I don't care what the world says and what the popular opinion is today. I don't care. I have found peace that surpasses all understanding. I have found a joy that keeps me solid. And this peace isn't the absence of a storm. It's going through some stuff, but you know what? I've got my anchor in him. And joy, not happiness. Happiness is circumstantial, and I hope that happens to all of you, but joy is something deeper. And every day, being able to wake up with a hope that knowing even if it's tight financially, even if we're going through some weird times politically, financially, societally, where things just seem to be changing left, right, and center, trying to look for schools at the moment, holy dooly, not ready for that. Which school do I put my kids in? Like, right? It's crazy. But all of this stuff, but it's okay. Thank you that I've got you to lean on. Thank you that I've got you to depend on. All right. Just another 2 more hours and then you're good. I'm just playing. I'm totally kidding, totally kidding. I will just leave you with this. I'm just going to digress super, super quickly and change up the story, and then I'm going to bring it to a close. And we're looking at the story where Jesus died, was buried, and was raised to life. What I find absolutely phenomenal about this is there were 500 witnesses, eyewitnesses to the resurrection of Jesus. You can look back on documents and biographies of this moment. I love that I have this faith that I can actually attach a real moment to. Atheists, scientists, all of them studied this and have come to the conclusion that the cross actually happened. That changes things. Now, not to get too lost in this, but I want to read this and then tie it all in. But it says this in Luke 24, 1-6. But very early on Sunday morning, the women went to the tomb, taking the spices they had prepared. They wanted to make Jesus' body smell nice before they buried him. They found that the stone had been rolled away, and they thought it was the Romans. They thought the Romans had got rid of Jesus' body. But the stone was rolled away, and so they went in, but they didn't find the body of the Lord Jesus. As they stood there puzzled, 2 men suddenly appeared to them, clothed in dazzling robes. The women were terrified and bowed with their faces to the ground. Then the men asked, "Why are you looking among the dead for someone who is alive?" Another translation renders it, "Why are you looking for the living among the dead?" And I really love that. It's arrested my heart and my attention all week. Why are you looking for the living among the dead? This well will only satisfy you so much. And if there is a longing in your heart, I'm not talking to anyone that doesn't want it, but for those who do want it, for those who are searching, for those who are longing, and you're done coming to those wells, you will not find the living amongst what is dead, meaning those things that leave you empty, those things that leave a bitter taste in your mouth. You want to find the living? Look for the one who created life itself. You want to find what's relevant, what's eternal? Look for the one who claims to be life itself and is life itself. Colossians 3:3. Your life, your real life, is hidden in Jesus. And I thought I knew what I wanted. I was going to be an NBA superstar, man. I really was. I was going to play for Chicago. I was on my way. I was going to go to Pepperdine University. Look, I wasn't that good. I thought I was that good. I was not going to make the NBA, but I was ready. I had it, like you walked into my room, it was basketball, basketball, basketball. And at the same time I was doing ministry. I thought, well, maybe I can be an NBA superstar and, kind of preach on the side. That was my plan. But God had other plans. And I tell you, look, it would have been nice. Would have been nice if that was the plan. But I can honestly say I have found my real self. I never feel more alive than when I'm up here. It terrifies me. I stutter. You haven't heard it, but I've gotten really good at hiding it. When God said, "Hey, young man, you're going to be a preacher," I was like, "Nah, God, you tripping. I ain't doing that. No. I didn't even want to put my hand up in class to answer the questions. I don't want to even order my McDonald's at the counter because I'm afraid of being teased for my stutter." Never in my life would I thought I'd be doing this. And I love it. I have found myself. I have found my real life. And it is the best thing. And I'm not saying that you all got to become preachers and pastors and that's your real life. But I promise you there is a fulfillment. There is a contentment. There is a deep satisfaction that only comes from Christ. And I'm going to let you go now because I don't want to have you squirming in your seats and be like, "Let us go. Danica, Hugh, why'd you bring us this morning?" But I am just getting warmed up, but that's okay. But I do just want to say this. My conviction as a preacher and as a pastor is I would rather offend you with truth and not, I hope I haven't been offensive. I don't feel I have, but when you read this thing, man, it's like it reads you. And there have been times as a Christian I've read this and I've thrown it. Like, what? No, that's too close to home. Kind of like this woman at the well. No, you don't need to get all up in my business like that. Thrown it away. because it reads you. It's the only book where the author is sitting present with you, walking you through it. That's what it feels like. But it's also a book where you read and you weep over it. I've been in cafes, man, where I'm reading it and it hits me and I'm like welling up with tears and wiping away because it's hidden my soul. And I would rather, and so why I say offend you with truth, because sometimes it does. It hits that place. Makes people react, either run or come close. And I would rather offend you with truth. And here's the heavy part, okay? But we will all stand before God one day. One day we will. And my job is I want you to walk before that throne room one day. And you can think it's a joke if you want to, that's fine. And at least someone told you what to expect. At least someone told you, oh, okay, this is what's going to happen. What I do not want to be is the preacher, pastor, leader, Christian who gets up here and just makes you feel comfortable and just says something to kind of appease the appetite a bit. But then you get to that place and you think, I wish someone told me about this. That is not the person I want to be. That is not the leader or preacher I want to be. And so I've got so much more, but I think that's enough for this morning. And I just want to say this. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I would love to chat with all of you and get to know all your stories and know all of your names, but statistically speaking, I probably won't see any of you next week. I hope I do, but I probably won't. I get one chance with you. That's the hard thing about preaching and leading, is you get one chance. And there's so much to say. But I do want to say this. He sees you. He loves you. He's not an angry God. He's not some God up there that's got some new disease and wants to throw it at you because you got it wrong. No, He's a God who loves you and adores you and desperately is pursuing your heart. And if you are here this morning and you want that, do not miss this opportunity. Do not miss what 2 billion other people in this world have found. My real life is in Christ. And the world looks very good. And I'm not about to say, oh, no, have fun. Hang out with friends. Do what you got to do. But just know what gives you real life. It's Jesus. It's Jesus. And so with that, I'll get communion passed out. Now, you don't have to take communion. If you want to, fantastic. But there are these cool little things that we've got. The little wafer is at the top and the cordial is at the bottom. The wafer tastes like plastic. I hate it. But the juice I really love. And what we're about to do is we're about to come around a time where we take the wafer, which represents the body of Jesus, and we're going to take the cordial, which represents the blood of Jesus, and really what He did for us on the cross. Me and my own self, me and my sin, it separates us from God. The penalty of sin is death. And so Jesus became that penalty. He became that person to pay what I could not pay for. And now that He is risen, now that He is alive, that's who I unite my life with, representing that I can live above what used to bring me down. So this is a really beautiful moment. Again, no pressure around it. A little bit tricky. So if you're wearing like a white pants or white dress, maybe just kind of move it to the side because that cordial will pop out maybe. Trying to work this thing out. Maybe just, if there's a family member that's annoying you, just open it up over them. Hey, can we just give Lockie a round of applause? He's our sound guy here today, and he's just been absolutely smashing it. Thank you so much, Lockie. And I just want to thank all of the team. Thank you for making church happen every week. It just doesn't happen without you. Thank you. Hey, can I just get a nod from some of the parents? How are the kids going? We good? We're not in a rush? Yeah? Okay, cool. Can I tell you one story? I mean, of course I'm going to do it. Don't you love when a preacher says, can I ask you? Of course I'm going to do it. But it is a little bit intense, but I just feel led to. I just feel led to share this story, okay? Probably got you to open up everything, so maybe you might want to rest it on a chair, but we're still passing them out. I just want to tell you this story of a man named Hosea. And you can read his story in the Bible, but I want to tell you this story. And it's a little intense and a little confronting, all right? But again, I get one chance with you. And so I just want to share this story on Hosea and Gomer real quick, really, really quick. Then the Lord said to me, Hosea, go again, Hosea. I want you to go find her. Love this woman who is loved by a lover and is right now committing adultery. For the young hearers in the room, parents, if you want to cover, you can. But otherwise, hey, it's the word. It's an exciting story. But I'm just going to go through it. Go find her, Hosea. Go find her. Just like the love of the Lord. Go find her again. Now, where it says Israel, just like the love of the Lord for Israel, it means Israel. But it prophetically speaks of God's love for the whole world. Go find her like the love of the Lord. This is like the love I have for the children of Israel who look to other gods. They love society, stuff, possessions, and what the world offers. But go find her anyway. And as this husband goes to find his wife, who was a former prostitute and is now back in prostitution, that would have been a heart-wrenching journey. Can you imagine how messy that search is, how painful that pursuit is? And God tells this man, go find her. The wife of the mother of your 3 children, go find her. And as you walk the streets that everyone says you don't go down, you don't go to those neighborhoods. Children of God should never be seen in those places. Here is Hosea looking for his wife of all people. And then it gets even more, not heartbreaking, but just like, wow. It goes on to say in the book of Hosea, I don't know where, there's my Bible. Book of Hosea says, so I bought her. This is the husband. I bought her for myself for 15 shekels of silver and 1.5 bushels of barley. Hold on a second. She's your wife, Hosea. And you bought what was already yours in the first place. What was that scene like as Gomer, the wife, is standing on some pedestal in some alleyway, maybe, on some street corner, being sold to the highest bidder? What was that like for the husband, a spouse, to see this? Hosea sees his wife, the mother of their 3 children, and goes up to the slave trader, hey, that's my wife. The response he would have received is, I don't care what you think she is, this is her price. But, okay, what's her price? And this husband pays for what is already his. And I'm not judging Gomer, I'm not judging Hosea. But I hope you understand that this story, when we read it, Hosea is a picture of God, and no offense, you and I are a picture of Gomer. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Mankind is the unique possession of the Creator God. And yet 2,000 years ago, and why we gather around communion is because 2,000 years ago, there was a man named Jesus who did what I could never do and paid the price I could never pay. Took nails in his hands and his feet, took whippings, took the thorns in his head, all proven. The price that I was meant to pay for walking away from God, if I ever wanted relationship with Him, that was my price. But yet, Jesus comes down and dies for the creation He created. Man. And so Hosea goes, how much? And he gets the money out of his pocket. What was that exchange like as he gets the money and pays for his wife, and the wife looks him and he looks his wife in the eyes? What was that like? No doubt she hung her head low and thinks, man, I did it again. I thought I was out of this, but it's not that simple. I've abandoned him, I've abandoned our children, and yet he insists on buying me. Others sought to buy her to use her, but Hosea seeks to buy her to heal her. And there's a lot of things in this world that seek to take you and promises so much life. And God just says, hey, come back to me and watch what happens with your life. And what you will experience maybe this initial hanging of head before a holy God. But He comes just like I do to my girls, and I pick up their chin. I smile at them. They smile back at me. And it's just filled with love, forgiveness, joy, peace. belonging. You're not dealing with an angry God this morning. You're dealing with one who's full of love. And Hosea just bought Gomer, who was already his. This is a picture of the gospel of salvation. Hosea completes the search in spite of her sins, in spite of her doings, in spite of her running away. And our Hosea has come this morning to give us salvation, to find us no matter where we are. And he had to walk through some places. I know where he found me. And as a Christian, we can relate to some places where he came and I was like, wow, he was there for me. Some places that if I was to put the mic in some of these hands that attend this church, you wouldn't believe their stories. But someone came looking for us regardless. And when he found me, I wasn't so pretty and so put together. No. Kind of like Gomer found me, so to speak, naked, used, broken, can't put myself together, but yet he came for me. Hosea searched for his wife just as Jesus searches for us, and he is relentless in that pursuit. So much so that I was going to close the sermon. He says, share this story. And Christian, don't forget that when he found you, we weren't so nice. And let that fuel our worship and our praise. And bringing this to a close. Sin said, so God says, all right, how much? How much for my creation? That want their own way, that want to do things their own way. How much for the possibility of buying them back? How much? What do? Sin goes, the blood of your Son, for then and only then can humanity avert the wrath and justice that is rightfully on their heads. And God says, very well, I'll send my Son. And so as we gather around these things you've been holding for 3 hours, we remember the price that was paid for us to have an extraordinary life with Jesus, if you want it. So with that, I haven't even opened mine, so that's fine. But Lord, I thank you for what you did so that I could have the life I'm living now. That no matter what I go through, you're with me. No matter what I experience, you're there. In the late nights, in the early mornings, in the wanderings of the day, you were there, and I thank you that you came close to me when there was no hope of me coming close to you. So why don't you take the body when you're ready? And in your own way, just reflect on that. What does that mean to you? And that's okay if you got questions. I still have questions. The cordial or the blood that it represents, it purchased my new life. It purchased salvation. Forever with him. Life more abundantly now, and life in extraordinary abundance when we go to be with him. Let's take that when you're ready. Awesome. I personally love that drink. Some people don't like it.